more worried about cold butt. That's to bring the heated.
Oh, look at that reaction. Look at that. What do you say? What do you know? It's the Full Monty Sports Show. It is Monday, December 19th, 2022. I am your host, Monte Perez, aka the Sports Whisperer. Got my Packer gear on for tonight, all fired up for the Monday night football game between the struggling Ram and the Packers, who are still mathematically in it. So it's going to be interesting to see. Obviously, the Rams coming off a win with Baker Mayfield, and the Packers looking to stay alive at Lambeau. Going to be cold there. Going to be an old-fashioned game. Love to see it. Amarie is not going to join us. She was at the game, the Minnesota Vikings Colts game. So it's just going to be Brad Ward tonight. So definitely we will miss Amarie, and we'll see her in 2 weeks. Just a quick programming note. We were on Saturday. A lot of people were confused looking for us on Sunday. And we will be on next Saturday as well, Christmas Eve in the morning, because there is games on Saturday. And then we'll be off next Monday. So we'll be back 2 weeks from today on Monday. Let's start with this before we get Brad Ward on, before we get everyone on. Yes, it was a happy Monday. It was one of the craziest weeks of football I've ever seen. I've ever seen. Just absolutely nuts. We're going to get into all that. But let's start with this right off the bat. I don't know if anyone is into soccer. Um, I look at soccer like I look at, hockey or baseball. A 1-0 game in the regular season means nothing. But the World Cup, I mean, you just got to give your hats off to Messi. He's never won a World Cup. This was the one thing on his career that he just couldn't seem to win. Obviously, it's a team sport. And we say this all the time, right? People don't realize this. Like the amount of pressure that this man faced, the entire nation, the history of Maradona, he was in the shadow of Maradona. It's like replacing a legend. Aaron Rodgers did this with Brett Favre. It's not easy. And what Messi and Argentina did, first of all, one of the most exciting games I've ever seen in any sport. Every time Argentina took the lead, France would come back. But Messi, in the biggest stage, in the biggest game of his career, had 2 goals in regulation, had an assist in regulation, and the penalty kick was just sensational. So congrats to Argentina and Messi. If you go on social media, just look at Argentina. They're still partying. They're still celebrating. And now another good news for all you Oregon Duck fans, which I am. Bo Nix is coming back. Bo Nix is coming back to Oregon, so that is going to be wonderful for us Duck fans. Look, I mean, highest graded quarterbacks under pressure this season. Bo Nix at 81.7. Caleb Williams, who won the Heisman Trophy, at 81.4. And just some more stats for Bo Nix here. 16th, ranked 16th nationally in passing yards per game. Second nationally in completion percentage at 71%. Eighth nationally in QB rating. This guy's a dual threat. And, we talk about that there are certain things in sports that people don't want to admit. One of the things that Doc Rivers gets a pass. Doc Rivers is horrible as a playoff coach. He's lost more playoff series being up 3 games to 1 than any other 2 or 3 coaches in the history of the NBA. He doesn't make adjustments. And this notion that LeBron James is not clutch. If you look statistically in the last minute of the game, LeBron James is better than Kobe in clutch shots. And people don't want to give Bo Nix credit because they saw him struggle in Auburn. But as you can clearly see, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And the Duck fans are lucky to have him. Duck fans are lucky to have him. Make sure, guys, if you're watching, give us the thumbs up for this particular uh, episode. Make sure to subscribe to the Nuts and Bolts YouTube channel. And of course, you can follow me on social media on Twitter, MontyJP231, on TikTok, Monte Perez 231. We are at over 2 million views. And I just started doing Facebook Reels, and it has been so much fun. Here's one of my, let me get this sticker off. I got 478,000 views on one video on Facebook just doing sports videos. It's going to be over a half a million. I had about 32 followers before I started doing reels. I didn't even know how to do it. I started doing it a couple of weeks ago. I'm at 4,000 followers. And again, my video is going to break a half a million on Facebook Reels. So if you have entertainment, if you have sports, if you have takes, put it on Facebook Reels and you'll see how easily it'll blow up for you, and you'll be more than happy to do it and thank me later. Okay, so Amory is not going to join us, but Brad Ward is joining us. Brad, thanks so much for joining us. You know him as a contributor to the OBR and host producer of All Eyes on Cleveland. How are you today, Brad?
I'm okay. How are you, Monty? Wild weekend.
It was one of the craziest weekends, and I'm gonna take away my banner there. I'm gonna put this up in the background, Brad. It is the holiday season, and
It
here in
is.
Florida, I miss the snow. I like the snow from about Thanksgiving to January 1st. So throughout the course of the show, I'm just gonna have really cool backgrounds for us, a little Christmas environment, so
Wonderful.
people can enjoy that. All
I
right,
love it.
Brad. I'm going to let you start with the Vikings. The greatest comeback ever. This was just absolutely insane. I don't really know how to describe. Amory was at the game. At halftime, this game was over, right?
It felt like it. So the weirdest thing about this game, right? And it's hard to explain. Like I was thinking about it, right? Like and it's not like the Colts ever really dominated the game. It's just like the Vikings were just god awful in the first
Right.
half. It's like they scored every point. Like they gave every point to the Colts in the first half. And it's and then they cleaned it up in the second half and were able to come back and win. It was a remarkable comeback and some amazing plays and some terrible officiating in the second half, which I'm sure we can talk about. But like, um, it felt. I don't know. It just felt like it was all the Vikings, right? Like the Colts
Yeah.
were just there. It was the Vikings show. Like the Colts were just a part of the game. They were there. They accepted the turnovers and scored the easy touchdowns that were given to them, got a huge lead, and then the Vikings said, all right, let's turn it on and go win. And they
I
did.
mean, one of the things that was really impressive, if you just look at the numbers, Kirk Cousins had 4 touchdowns, over 400 yards. KJ Osborne and
Oh,
Justin Jefferson's, Brad, 22 combined catches, 290 yards, 2 touchdowns. Now, Jeff Saturday is getting a ton of criticism here. Uh,
yes.
First of all, Rex Ryan, can you just stop? Rex Ryan went off about him and saying, you got to close out games. Rex Ryan didn't have a winning season coaching 6 years after the first 2 years with the Jets when teams adjusted. Rex Ryan's best two records were 11-5 and 9-7, and he was the worst in 2-minute drills.
Yeah.
But does Jeff Saturday deserve the criticism he's getting by everyone in the media, or is this just, hey, you hired him out of the booth, you didn't give one of our guys a chance, he had no experience, so they're overly picking on him, so to speak?
I don't know. Okay, so pick who you want to criticize. Do you want to criticize Jeff Saturday for not knowing, or the guy that hired the guy that wouldn't know?
That's a good point.
Right? Like, so it's not really his fault. He's been in a booth, right? Like, he's not a coach.
Right,
What do
yeah.
what do we want from the guy, right? Like, he's not a coach, right? Like, he's not going to know how to handle some of these situations. He was calling games, like, so I would say blame the guy that put him in place.
And Brad, I will say this too. We have a situation now here where the Vikings are going to win the division, but Brad, they are not a physically tough team.
No.
They are all finesse.
Yes, very much so, and I for that reason I worry about their longevity in the playoffs.
Yeah,
For
I
sure.
do too. I think they could be one and done. All right. We're switching up the little snow background here. Going to have a bunch
It's
of snow
quite
background.
lovely. I love it. It's fantastic, Monty.
All right, Brad. So you got to be loving life twofold. One, you can't stand the Baltimore Ravens, and
Can't.
two, what surprised me about this victory is, Brad, all year we've talked about the defense, how the defense is not consistent, how the defense has talent but not making plays. Brad, this team's defense and the Browns stepped up big time in this win.
They did. Listen, I'm not going to give him too much credit here. It was Tyler Huntley, okay? Let's not, overreact, okay? It was Tyler Huntley. And, they were opportunistic. They made some good individual plays. Denzel Ward with a great interception where he, first separated the ball from player and then somehow corralled the ball afterwards. It was an amazing interception, actually. And then, John Johnson with the punching the ball out. They do that crap all the time. It drives me crazy. I'm like, just tackle the guy,
Instead of
right?
making the tackle, right.
But occasionally it pays off, and here it paid off. The Browns defense, listen, they got killed in the run game. They were getting demolished in the run game, and for whatever reason, Greg Roman decided not to continue to run the football. Like, if he would have just continued running the ball, I feel like they would have just scored and won the game.
Well, Brad,
But
I don't understand that because that's their whole identity. They
It
run it
is.
down your throat. Why did he abandon the run?
I have no idea. No clue. And they were going like 7 a pot. I think they averaged over 7 yards a carry or something. It was absurd. Browns could not stop the run at all, but they did it themselves. They stopped themselves. I did not understand that, but I'll take it, right? I thought Deshaun Watson looked much better. I thought he looked comfortable in the offense. Although they only scored 13 points, they were in the red zone more than that. They missed 2 field goals, and they should have probably scored some more points. Now, talk about being in the red zone. The Ravens were in the red zone all day, too.
And
the Browns
Tucker,
just,
wow.
yeah, Justin Tucker missed, and then a block. Listen, that stadium is the hardest stadium to kick in, I have to think, in the NFL. Maybe not, but the swirling winds in there, and Phil Dawson used to talk about that, there's only one flag that you can look at.
And
you
get
can, there's one flag in the northeast corner that you can get an actual reading on because the winds just swirl, and the other ones will give you the wrong direction. And so... it happens. Now our kicker, Cade York, just shanked one, not even close, and then the other one he pushed right. I'm fine if you push one right or left, but the shanking, which has happened a couple times now, is starting to become a little bit worrisome. Listen, I don't care what this defense does for me. I wrote an article after the game saying that the defensive coach, I don't know if you saw the interview last week with the Browns defensive backs coach, but it looked like
Can you tell our listeners what happened? Because a lot of them I saw it, but a lot of them might not have seen it.
Yeah, so for whatever reason, Jeff Howard, he's the defensive backs coach and the defensive passing game coordinator, right? And he was put up at the podium. They do this randomly throughout the year, right? They'll throw up the QB coach, 1 week and another guy the next week. And I think this is the only time he spoke to the press all year. And he started to get questions about the Bengals game where Boyd and Higgins went out, right, early with injuries. And basically he explained that the Browns could not adjust to the Bengals not having Higgins and Boyd because they expected them to play all week, and which is ass backwards, ludicrous, and totally insane to make that point, right? And even the press was like, "Wait, what? You're saying so you couldn't adapt to them not having 2 of their best players?" It was really bad. It was awful. It was a mockery. He sounded like a complete doofus, and he was very smug about it as well. Yeah. So, not a great look. Listen, I posted it. I wanted to shine a light on it because I want those guys gone. It is how I feel. I feel like that, Joe Woods, this is his 3rd season as defensive coordinator, Monty. The blunders and the games blown, it's already done. I mean, the damage is already done, right?
But
Like
you
they
said
shouldn't be
he
6 and
can't
8.
save his job, right? He can't save his job no matter what.
I don't think so, but some
Right.
people here in town think that he can. Because once again, they're playing better down the stretch. And I said, I wrote, fool me once, what Bush say? Can't get fooled again, right? Can't get fooled again. Right. So like twice, this second time last year, they were awful at the beginning, came on top 5 defense at the end of the year. This year it's not that good, but like, listen, Tyler Huntley, they still got killed in the run game. Let's
Right.
not give the guy a ton of credit here.
Right. Yeah, and
But
I agree with you. I'm
I don't know if Monty froze there or
oh,
what.
I'm back. Yeah, just keep
Oh,
running the ball, right, Brad? I mean, it was
yeah.
absolutely ludicrous. All right, so moving forward, Brad, still in the playoff hunt. Obviously, it's going to be rough sledding if they make the playoffs, Brad. If they make the playoffs, does the defensive coordinator keep his job? You're saying no, right?
Listen, I don't think there's any way he could save his job. I don't. They won't make the playoffs. Let's be real.
Okay. Okay.
Like they have a 1% chance, and they need a million things to happen. Now, we've seen crazier things happen, right? Like they had a 99% win percentile against the Jets, and they figured out a way to lose that game. So, so it's the same odds, right? So we've seen crazier things happen, but I don't think they'll make it. It's really about watching Deshaun at this point and evaluating for next year. Some of the younger guys. Listen, like as soon as they're mathematically eliminated, I would throttle down Chubb and
Yeah.
move on to somebody
Smart.
else. But I don't. They haven't done that yet. So, listen, their run game struggled in the first half, but they basically wore down the Ravens in the second half, and suddenly those runs started to work. And they were able. It's a nice win. It's a nice division
Nice win.
win
Nice
against a
win.
good team, a good defense. I thought Watson looked much better. He still is. Listen, he still is doing some things like dropping his eyes. A little bit, and he still is hesitant to throw into tight windows when guys are open, but he still made some really good throws, and he looked the most comfortable we've seen him so far. In and out of the huddle, it felt like it was his offense, right?
Right.
Like for the first time, like Monty, the first 2 weeks it was a weird energy, but he did seem like he was celebrating and with his teammates, and it seemed like regular Deshaun Watson.
I
So,
was just going to say, from the outside looking in, it feels like this is now his team.
yes, it felt very much that way for the first time. So,
Okay.
and that was good to see.
My friend Bill wanted me to ask you, because you do DraftKings, the over/under tonight for Donovan Mitchell and Markkinen, 70 points combined, playing the former teammates. I can see Mitchell
Yep.
going for 40 and Markkinen going for 30.
Very possible. I worry about Markkinen's getting there as the problem. And Garland, listen, Donovan Mitchell has been absolutely incredible.
And he's going up against his old team.
Just absolutely incredible. So yeah, it should be fun tonight. I don't know what's the point total. Do we know?
I don't
That
know.
would
I'll
give
have
me
to
a
look it
better
up. He
idea.
just wanted to know with those two guys. He just wanted to know.
I would lean towards the over, Monty.
Right.
Probably.
I
I don't
think
know
Mitchell's
how
going to
you
have
feel
him.
about it.
I think Mitchell's going to have a monster. I think they're both going to have huge games. I think they're both going to
Yes.
have huge games. And
The two
Markkinen, go ahead.
to 220
220.
total, which is not
Markkinen's
that
going to get a
high.
standing ovation, right? I mean, people appreciate him.
Is it in Utah?
No, it's in Cleveland. I'm almost positive it's in Cleveland.
Oh yeah.
27.
What am I? Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it's
Yeah,
at
you're
7
right.
o'clock.
Yeah, I don't. They would probably give him a standing ovation. He's a hell of a lot better player now than he was in Cleveland, though. I mean, geez,
Yeah.
oh man, they give this guy away. Now he's a superstar. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Imagine
he's
if they
thriving
still had
again.
him.
Yeah, they're thriving. All right, so I want to move to the listen. It was an exciting game. Bills 11-3 beat the 8-6 Dolphins 32-29. Brad, I'm just going to come out and say it. Like, I learned nothing from these two games. What I did learn is the Dolphins have adjusted. Like they ran the ball much better, which I love to see. They rushed for 188 yards, and we said this all along. We said that because of the Mike McDaniel coming from the Kyle Shanahan tree. Kyle Shanahan, at San Francisco coach, loves to run the ball. Why weren't they running the ball? They were very effective. Tua looked better. And listen, the Bills still can't stop. I mean, they limited him a little bit, but Jalen Waddle, 114 yards. Tyreek Hill, 9 catches, 69 yards. Brad, nothing changes for me with this game except that these two teams are so evenly matched, and people don't want to really give the Dolphins credit. But both games came down to a field goal.
Yeah. So here's what I would say. I learned a little bit. If I'm a Dolphins fan, I'm okay walking away from this one because, like, hey, listen, the one thing we proved is we can go play in cold weather.
Yes.
And they did that successfully, and they can adjust according to. That was like the question, right? Like, can they go and does the speed translate? They got lucky; it didn't snow till the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
This game was awesome to watch, right?
It was.
Like, it was really cool. Just the atmosphere was really exciting. It felt like a playoff game. And because it was Saturday night too, and everything. So, and the snow in the fourth quarter was awesome. So, but listen, I'll say this: you're gonna hate this. I know you're gonna hate this. Josh Allen, like, he makes an incredible case for MVP. By definition, he is the most valuable player to a single team in the league. Like, I'm not saying
I cannot
like,
argue that at all. I cannot
right.
argue that. You're 100% right. My father said after the game, he was like, the next day, he's like, I'm so impressed with Josh Allen. Josh Allen is so valuable to the team. I think you could take that with a Joe Burrow too. And someone said
Yeah.
something today regarding look at the tale of two quarterbacks, right? Talking about MVP. Patrick Mahomes lost his best wide receiver, and it's almost like he's gotten better. Aaron Rodgers lost his best wide receiver, and it took him to week 12 to come out of a funk. So, yeah, I mean, I still have it Hurts, Mahomes, Allen. But if Allen gets the MVP, how are you going to argue? I mean, the guy is all world. Again, I don't like him running the way he does, especially in the cold. I don't like the way Jalen Hurts was running the ball yesterday, which we'll get into a minute. But these teams, my point is, I didn't learn anything because these teams are evenly matched. I had everyone saying, oh, I mean, think about this. People were like, Buffalo lost a terrible game in Miami. They're going to come out at home in the snow and blow them out of the building. They didn't do that. So Miami is a very good team, and I think they found a way to the two of those over the last few weeks in running the ball. I'm still a little bit concerned about this Buffalo defense.
Yeah, it is concerning, but I give more credit to the Miami offense. They just, nobody can really slow them down, right? Like, so unless Tua does. Tua's the only guy that really slows them down. So, listen, I like both these teams. I think they are pretty evenly matched. I think the Bills are a little bit better, and in the playoffs they're more tested, right? Like, they've been there a few times. I think that'll come in handy. And if we have noticed with the Bills in the past, they do kind of change the way they play a little bit in the playoffs, and they do run the ball a little bit more. At least in last year they did. So we'll see what happens there.
I think getting Hines definitely helped them from the Colts.
I definitely agree there, and I mean, they have the rookie back is really tough too, and they've been what's his name? It's escaping me now. Their rookie running back
Moss.
No, they traded Moss to the Colts for Hines.
Yeah, for Hines.
I'll think of it. Anyways, the guy with the long hair, the dreads. And anyways, he's a tough back for them. And then, of course, Singletary.
Obviously Cook.
Yep. There you go. And those guys, I think Cook runs the ball better between the tackles than Singletary does. So he'll probably get the load of the carries moving forward in the playoffs. But listen, both these teams are for real and will be tough out in the playoffs. I think so.
All right, let's move to. I have a little video clip here. It's funny because I missed a couple games. I think I missed 3 games yesterday, and I said on the air, on Saturday, I said I want to take Jacksonville, but I just think they're a young team, and coming off a monster division win against Tennessee, 36-22. I think they're going to lose to Dallas by like a field goal. But let's look at this last play here.
This game has been crazy. 3rd and 4, Dallas. Oh, it's intercepted! He could go all the way! Jacksonville's going to win. They are still alive. The NFC has hit them with everything they have, and they're still alive. To quote The Godfather.
So, Brad, my biggest takeaway this is just the maturization of Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Again, people in Jacksonville, the players, are still saying how much damage Urban Meyer did to Trevor Lawrence, and just one day praising him, next day saying he sucks. Doug Peterson has this team playing well in a terrible division, but that's a huge win for a young team.
Incredible win. And a lot of the credit goes to Lawrence. He looked fantastic in this one, right? He really looks like he's coming along. He may have the best, him and Herbert may have the best pure arm talent in the NFL. Like, some of his throws that he makes are ridiculous. So, I was very much impressed with them. Their defense is good. They're better than they were yesterday. It was a wild game, right? And listen, the Cowboys they're not going to win the division. They're basically like in the playoffs. They have their spot. I don't have anything to play for right now, do they?
I mean, listen, they were saying they could have clinched last week. They're not going to catch the Eagles. So, the one thing that is kind of bad if you're in the NFC, only one team gets a bye. Remember how they used to have two teams?
Yep.
Only one team gets a bye now. So the Cowboys are going to wind up playing probably Minnesota. If you're the Cowboys, you don't want to play San Francisco, right?
No, you don't want to play San Francisco. And I would rather play Minnesota than I would I don't know. It's a kind of a toss-up. But Tampa Bay, I think, is probably going to get in. So who would you rather play, Tampa Bay or Minnesota? I don't know.
Tampa Bay. I think Tampa Bay is totally shot. Minnesota, you're one play away from Justin Jefferson breaking an 85-yard touchdown pass. So, Mike Evans, we'll get to that game in a little bit, walked off. He was miserable yesterday. But, I think Jacksonville has a chance to win that division because the Titans are terrible. And they have, they have other than Derrick Henry, they have nothing. And we'll get to that in a minute. All right, Brad. Obviously, the Raiders over the Patriots. Before you break that down, I don't know if I have the sound on this one, but let me just see what we got here. This is the last play of the game. For those of you who didn't watch it, it's tied up, and all the Patriots have to do is run the clock out. That's all they have to do, and play for overtime. Brad, someone said Jones trying to tackle Jones was probably the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. And if you just watch that game and watch that last play, you ask yourself, just look at this. Look at his reaction. Brad, what are you doing if you're Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots?
Listen, so they went rogue. Even Jacoby, did you see any of the post game with this?
Yes.
Jacoby Myers was in tears at his locker, and he stood there and answered the questions. He basically went rogue. Ramondre Stevenson shouldn't have even done the first lateral, but then to attempt the second one was ridiculous. And I don't think anybody practices this stuff more than the Patriots. So, I can't blame Belichick. I think the players just went rogue on this one. You can see the coaches going, get down, I've watched this play a few times. There are tons of little nuggets in this play that are hilarious to watch. Watch the coaching staff freaking out. Watch the Raiders freaking out. Watch, what's his name? The quarterback for the Patriots. Mac Jones telling his players to go down and then sitting on the ground at the end there. But what a ridiculous play. And Chandler Jones, the guy who scores the touchdown, attempted to make the tackle earlier in the play and then just quit on the play.
Yeah.
He's just standing there, if you watch the Next Gen Dots, and literally that's the only reason he's there for the throwback, right?
He got rewarded for being lazy.
He was just standing there, waiting for the play to be over to go to overtime, and literally the ball gets thrown right to him.
But
It
Brad,
was a
in what world, because I know this being a coach, and I always say this, my strength was practicing situations. 2 minutes
sure.
left in the game. We spent 45 minutes to an hour practicing situations. In what world does a player say, I'm going to throw this 15 yards backwards to try to make a play?
In a tie game. That's the thing.
Yeah,
Like you're down one, sure, whatever
go
you
for it.
have to do,
Yeah.
right? Go for it. Tie game, you can lose that way, and then yep, that's what happened. I mean, ridiculous. How many? I mean, we've seen multiple occasions this year where the fumble rooski lateral at the end of the game ends up going the other way for a touchdown. Bad beats and all kinds of stuff. But like this is an all timer, and yeah, I mean. I don't know.
But
It's
Brett,
hard to explain.
if you're down 4, you're down 3, even if you're down 1. But a tie game, you got to know, get your ass to the ground, play for overtime.
Just go to overtime. I don't know why Stevenson even attempted it, but I think that started like, okay, we're doing this now. We're gonna lateral it now. So then Jacoby just go down.
Just go down,
Crazy
play for
ending,
overtime.
hilarious and devastating loss for the Patriots.
Devastating
Absolutely.
loss. Could knock them out of the playoffs.
Also in this game, officiating once again. Well, first of all, I wanted to mention the officiating in the Colts game. Did it not feel like once the Colts went up huge that the officials were going to call every penalty they could on the Colts?
Well,
The
I
personal
know
foul
this from,
taunting penalties were ridiculous. Go ahead.
I know this from coaching, Brad. I'll never forget the time we're in a playoff game and we're up at like 14 going into halftime. And we come out and we say to the refs, hey, we have 17 fouls. They have 5. They said,
Yeah,
no, we know. We talked about this. We'll even it out for you. So what they did, because we were blowing them out, and then we all looked at each other and go, wait a minute, if the situation was reversed, we don't want it to be even. We just want it to be fair. And
yeah.
and they did. By the end of the game, we had like 24 fouls. I mean, it was a blowout, so it didn't matter. And they had like 22. But officials, part of the job, and I hate to say this with the NFL, is part, and I've ref, so I know this. When a team is getting their ass kicked, you kind of favor them when it comes to calls.
Sure, sure. The losing team, you mean, right? So,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and that would, but I guess it's only natural. But there was absurd penalties I thought in the Colts game. Anyways, this one, Keelan Cole. Was he not clearly out of bounds? Am I crazy here on the
It's
touchdown? And then they go to review, and then they like, why are we even doing this? Why are we going to review if we're not going to make the right call? I don't understand.
there comes a point in time where, I think my dad was asking, why don't the ref just do it? It's like, well, the ref could be emotionally involved. For example, if I'm getting screamed at by a coach and it's a close call, I may lean the other way because I'm pissed off at that coach if I'm a ref. So you have the people in New York or wherever they are making the right call. But so many times we see that it's clearly out of bounds or it's clearly inbounds, and they don't change the call.
What's the point? What
No.
is the point? Was he not clearly out of bounds? I've looked at a million still shots, and it looks like half of his foot is out of bounds. I don't understand how you can't overturn that. What is the point of going to look at this if we're not going to get it right, Monty?
And I say this too. I'm sick of watching games, no matter what the sport is. Here's what you do: you go under the tent or wherever you go to watch it or talk to the people. If after a minute you can't come up with what the call was, the call stands on the field.
I just okay, so the XFL, was it the XFL
Yeah,
or
they've had a lot of positive things that people are bringing up.
the Sky Judge thing,
Yeah.
right? Like where literally the guy was like sitting there with a like an Xbox controller, and he could go fast forward and look at a play really quick and be like, okay, no, he's down at the 2. All right, guys, he's down at, and he's in their
Yep.
ear, right?
Yep.
Guys, you got that wrong. He's down at the 2. Spot the ball there. Explain it. Like they shouldn't have to challenge these plays. If something is wrong egregiously, there should be somebody in their ear that tells them it's wrong, and they fix it right away. Like on that one, like, okay, you guys missed this. He's out of bounds. Whatever. Da, 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 da. Like, get it right every time. We have the technology to do so. It shouldn't take a long time. I don't think a coach should have to use a challenge necessarily. I guess maybe. I guess you could still do like inside of 5 minutes in the half or
Right.
in the game or whatever. Everything is challenged, and scoring plays and turnovers are always challenged like they are now, or looked at by the sky judge. But like, if something is clearly wrong and you see it, just fix it. It takes 2 seconds to do. If he's connected to the referee, instead of going under and looking and then, okay, we're not going to change it because there's not clear enough. I get if there's not clear enough evidence, but how is there not clear enough evidence on that play? I don't get
And
it.
Josh brings up a great point. Can we make the NFL officials full time? And I say this all the time. Players
Yeah,
are
I
getting
mean,
younger, faster, stronger. No disrespect to anyone. There's plenty of positions where a referee could be an alternate or he could work in the booth. But I don't want to see these 58, 59-year-old out of shape guys trying to run and keep track with these young great athletes. Get people out of college, get former basketball, football players who are super athletic, who are in shape, and make these guys full time.
yeah, it makes no sense exactly how the money that is
Yeah.
being bet on these games, the money that is going into the NFL, the money that the NFL has, and they can't make the officials full time. They should be scouting teams for the week upcoming to it, watching their film. I'm sure they do that already, but like this is like to a further degree where let's be really good at what we do, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
100%. Yeah, it makes no sense. All right, let's move to my Jets. Listen, I'm gonna just say this. I don't want to pick on the guy, but you rarely see a player show up a quarterback, and this went on all day yesterday with Zach Wilson, who's the only reason why he was starting is Mike White didn't clear protocol with the NFL doctor.
Big 3rd and 12 here. The Jets should be winning this game, but Zach Wilson's been terrible again. Look, I mean, come on. Come on. Garrett Wilson is visibly upset. Like, Zach.
One more time.
Big 3rd and 12 here. The Jets should be winning this game, but Zach Wilson's been terrible again. Look, I mean, come on. Come on. Garrett Wilson is visibly upset. Like, Zach Wilson just can't make throws. He's not a professional quarterback. I don't know why people thought this guy was going to be good coming out of college. I mean, this is a basic throw. Remember, the Jets offense wore Team Mike White t-shirts when they went to Minnesota. They want.
I don't want to pick on Zach Wilson. I mean, he put up decent numbers. But the basic throws. Detroit, I don't want to hear about their head coach. We've talked to him about ad nauseum. Detroit had no business winning this game. No business. Time and time again, Zach Wilson. Again, look at Zach Wilson's rankings here. Look at his rankings. Time and time again, he missed open receivers and I'm not talking under pressure. Zach Wilson has a lot of Johnny Manziel in him. When he's under pressure, he can escape the pocket. He's a little faster than you think, and he can make plays, and he battled, but it was just horrible. I watched the whole game from start to finish. The whole game. And again, this is not a team that is bad. The Jets on offense and on defense are very good. And the numbers lie. He threw for 317 yards, 1 interception, but the 50% completion percentage. And there was 3 or 4 wide receivers who were like, you got to be kidding me, man. Like, I'm wide open. Hit me. Now, the Jets are still mathematically involved. If Mike White played, the Lions lose this game. No doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. The Lions are now 7-7. They should have been 6-8. But I'm so done with this Zach Wilson, and I don't understand why I get attacked on social media. Like, unless it's his and again, I don't go out of my way to criticize. He's just bad. Those are the facts. But like, why are Jet fans so loyal to this guy? What is it? He's never won for you. He's never going to win for you. And people are like, well, he was under pressure. Mike White would have won this game, and the Lions, who did enough to win, would have been 6-8. It's just a terrible loss for the Jets, terrible loss for Zach Wilson. just watch I posted 3 or 4 videos of the wide receivers shaking their heads in disbelief that a quarterback who has plenty of time cannot hit him under pressure. Am I over
Yeah,
exaggerating, Brad?
no, I mean he's lost this team, right? Like
Yeah.
he's lost faith. Just like a coach can lose the locker room, the quarterback can do the same, and that's what's happened here. As you said, the team Mike White shirts and all that stuff, like what a slap in the face. Listen, when I watch him, you're right. He misses easy throws, and he makes incredible throws. So like it's like he makes the really hard throws. The incredible fourth down throw he made late in the game to keep them alive. But like but the easy ones that he needs to make through, minute 2 through 60, right? Like he doesn't make. So that's the frustrating part, right? Like you see glimpses of greatness, but most of the time it's really bad. So I agree with you. It's not been good. Listen, I'm not. Go
I
ahead.
think what was so frustrating, Brad, is that Mike White doesn't have the strongest arm, but he's pretty accurate. And the receivers got used to Mike White playing, and they're like, yeah, we can win with this guy. And then when you see 2 or 3 receivers on multiple occasions, you don't see this in the NFL, getting really pissed off. We saw it a little bit at Denver with Russell Wilson after 6, 7, 8 weeks. They were just so mad at Zach Wilson yesterday. And I felt bad for them because the Jets have talent.
Yeah. I would also say that, I agree with you as far as Zach Wilson goes, but Robert Saleh, this was the worst clock management I may have ever seen in my
It's typical
life.
Jets.
I mean, it was god awful, right? Like, so listen, you can't go home with timeouts in your pocket. Three
Right.
timeouts left. The first long completion to like the 50, timeout, right? Even like I watched the post game show on CBS with what's his name? The old Steelers coach.
I know who
I
you're
can't
talking
remember
about.
anybody's name
Me
today.
either. I'm like, God, I'll get his name. Don't worry about it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, anyways, he's going 3 timeouts and under a minute you can use them, and I'm like going, no. Wait, okay, first of all, you're wrong. So stop talking. And somebody else is like, yeah, they should have called timeout on the first completion. I'm like, yes. Like you can't preserve time with your timeouts. So many times these coaches sit with them and they wait till like under 30 seconds. I'm going, what the hell are you doing? Use the timeouts, preserve time, give yourself a chance to run more plays. But I mean, this was brutal, right? Like they had a chance to go down and tie up the game or whatever at the end, and he blew it with the clock management. I mean, so what? Over a minute left at midfield, no timeout. Clock runs down, and then the second one, this was the most egregious. 50 seconds left, they get another completion. He lets it run 25 seconds off the clock.
And Bill
before
Cowher.
timeout. And
Bill
they had
Cowher,
3. Bill
Cowher. I don't know if you remember with Cordell Stewart, he used to struggle with clock management late too. So when he was talking about that, I was like, I'm sure it reminded him of Josh, I'm not coming around on Mike White. Mike White is a career backup. He can win you games. He's like a Marcus Mariota. He's like a Ryan Fitzpatrick. Would I rather have him than Zach Wilson? 100%. 100% I would rather have Mike White in there. But yeah, Robert Saleh, terrible clock management, just a horrible, and chalk it up to a defensive-minded coach who hasn't been in that many situations, where he's going to know what to do. All right, let's move to someone. I predicted this game. This was the easiest game. If I was a gambling man, I would have bet the farm on this one. Denver wins 24-15 over Arizona. I knew Denver was going to play well because they were without Russell Wilson. Brett Rippon, 21 for 26, 197 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. And here's why I took this game. Cliff Kingsbury has a winning percentage, Brad, of 27% after week 8. He just folds the second half of the year. He's going to get fired. It's over. And what's so amazing is they just let their general manager take a leave of absence. They re-signed Kyler Murray, Cliff Kingsbury, and their general manager to long-term deals after last year. And now all 3 of them may not be back next year.
Yeah, I think you have to choose one or the other, right? Like, I think it needs to be Kyler or Cliff. I think they'll choose Kyler just because of the talent there. Although I don't know if he'll ever have what it takes to be a winning quarterback in the NFL, personally. But yeah, but Cliff is done. I agree. You need to move in a different direction there. It's a disaster, and it's what an indictment on Russell Wilson that they
Yeah.
go win this game this way. I mean, it's laughable. I mean, like, so having Deshaun Watson on the Browns, it's like, God, please don't let what happened to the Broncos happen to the Browns, right? Like, it's like the worst nightmare ever, right? Like, you give a guy $200 million and all of a sudden he's a shell of himself. It's hard to fathom that he has been as bad as he's been, but yeah, incredible. I mean, I barely realized this game even happened. So
Yeah, no, I figured that. All right, let's move to the Chiefs. The Chiefs 30-24 in overtime. I don't get this at all, Brad. The Houston Texans aren't playing for anything. They are a terrible team, 1-12-1. Patrick Mahomes helps them win it, but they were sleepwalking throughout this game. And I'm watching part of that game, and I'm like, wait a minute. The Texans look like a well-coached, a better coach team than Kansas City.
yeah, the Texans are weird like this, right? Like, they lose every game, but they somehow they just hang around. It's
Yeah.
like they lull you into like playing bad, right? Like,
Right.
they lull you into they're so bad they make the opponent play bad. So every week everybody plays down to their level. This number is interesting, right? Texas linebackers in this game, talk about terrible coverage, combined, all their linebackers combined to give up 24 targets, 23 receptions for 200
Wow.
yards and a touchdown in coverage. So
Wow.
that's pretty awful. And Mahomes was 36 of 41 for 336 and 2 touchdowns, which are gaudy numbers in a game that was much closer than you would ever think that it would be.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Kansas City's battling for obviously the home field advantage with the Buffalo Bills right now. So I'm not sure if Buffalo's going to relinquish that. But it's just interesting to see. You don't normally see a Andy Reid team play down to the level of competition, but they did
No.
last week. But we always say better to win ugly than lose pretty. Let's move to the Bengals, 10-4. Listen, I've said after like 3 or 4 weeks, I said the Bengals are the best team in the AFC. I don't know what the hell's going on, and I'm going to blame Todd Bowles for this. You cannot score 17-3 in the first half, and as a defensive coach, get outscored 31-3 in the second half. Let's be honest here. This isn't some young team or a team with no quarterback. Well, they don't have a quarterback now because Tom Brady's not that good anymore. He's not even a top 10 quarterback. But where Jonathan Taylor, I understand. Okay, Jonathan Taylor gets hurt with the Colts. You're with Matt Ryan, who's on this last legs. But you got outscored 31-3 in the second half. It's almost like the Tampa Bay Bucks don't like each other. It's almost like they don't believe in their coach. They are so dysfunctional. And I give all the credit in the world to Joe Burrow, Joe Cool, playing great. But this Tampa Bay team, they may make the playoffs at 6-11 or 7-10, Brad.
Yeah, probably will. Listen, they played a good first half. Like, I thought they played a really good first half, and it was weird though. It was like the Bengals left some plays on the field, right? Like, so Chase dropped a couple passes that he would normally catch in the first half. So you're kind of going, okay, but they played well in the first half, and I was kind of, happy with the way they were looking like they were playing, especially defensively against the Bengals. But in the second half, it's just too much. Like, the talent that they have on the outside in Cincinnati is just too much. Like,
Yeah.
if you keep giving these guys like Chase and Higgins and Boyd, who all both got in the end zone in this game and are healthy again. Like they're just three weapons that are incredible. And if enough plays take time. I mean, you can slow them down for a little bit, but eventually they're just going to break through. Especially with a guy like Burrow who just keeps putting the ball in the right spot, like over and over and over and over. Eventually, these guys are going to make plays. Like I say about the Bengals, and like in Cincinnati, they don't love their coach, right? Like they think they're winning despite the coaching.
Yeah.
It's just like their talent between Burrow and the receivers and Mixon and P. Ryan and all these guys, and their defense is playing well. I'll give their defensive coach has been excellent. But like I don't know. I don't think this is the best team in the AFC, Monty. I really don't. But I do think they are. They will give somebody a run for their money. I don't. I feel like they kind of played with a horseshoe last year a little bit in that run. So I don't know if that's repeatable with this team. I think they need to probably get a little bit better defensively, although at times they have looked good. But yeah, Joe Burrow is fantastic, and their weapons on the outside are just overwhelming throughout 60 minutes.
Yeah, they are. And they just really dominated. And again, I think it was Tony Romo just making excuses for Tom Brady. Like, it's just because, like, stop making excuses, man. Listen, Michael Jordan with the Wizards was not fun to watch. Everyone remembers Kobe Bryant's last game where he scored 60 points. Kobe Bryant's last year averaged 17 points a game. He shot less than 44%. It was ugly to watch. It's ugly to watch. Father Time is undefeated.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough, right? Like, I don't know because he has played well for stretches of the season, right? Like, so
no doubt. No doubt.
There are parts of the season that he has looked. It's hard to week to week. You don't really know what you're going to get from him.
Brad, does this look like someone who's happy?
No, this has been a brutal year for the guy, man. I feel bad for him a little bit, I don't really. I mean, you really shouldn't feel bad for Tom Brady, but you feel bad for him a little bit, right? I don't know what's gonna happen with his career from here forward, but it was weird. The divorce happened, and they won a bunch in a row, and he was playing better, and then now I don't know.
No, you're the only one who feels bad.
I know, right? I know. But yeah, so I don't know. He's going through a midlife crisis in the middle of his NFL career, or at the end of his NFL career, which is hard. It's tough for anybody to go through a midlife crisis in the public eye, right? I don't know.
I forget what movie it was, but I'm just going to quote it. Never feel bad for someone who has their own jet. So that's all I got to say. Never feel bad for someone who's going to probably have $1 billion when all is said and done.
Money isn't everything, Monty.
Does not buy happiness. You are correct. All right, let's go to the Washington Commanders against the New York Giants. Let's go to the videotape here. I know people want to blame the refs. This is one of the worst calls I've ever seen.
This is insane. Terry McLaurin asks the ref 2 times if he's okay. 2 times if he's okay on the line of scrimmage. The ref says yes. Washington scores a touchdown, and then the ref calls a penalty on him. Every wide receiver always checks with the.
Every wide receiver asks, am I good? Am I here? The ref said yes 2 times, and then he throws the flag. But before we talk about the refs being bad and the refs losing the game, here's what I know. Barkley had a great game. 23 touches, 110 all-purpose yards. My boy, Thibodeaux, isn't it pronounced Thibodeau if you go from one of my favorite shows, King of the Hill? When there was an episode on King of the Hill where they say, the guy's name is Rad Thibodeaux, and then Hank Hill goes, isn't it pronounced Thibodeau? And the guy. But my point is, he played great, but here's what I know. Again, Washington has a very good defense. Washington's skill position players with Dotson, McLaurin, Samuel are good. They have 2 good running backs in Robinson. That they have a good defense. The bottom line is you can win games, but again, Taylor Heinicke is not the guy, right? He's a good stopgap. He's a good guy. He's not a starter, Brad. I know you love him. You can look at that talent. They should make the playoffs in the NFC. That's top heavy. But you have a defensive minded coach. I don't want to hear the refs sucked. That was terrible. But
that's
you
not
don't
why
have
they
a
lost the game. Yeah,
it's
I
not why
agree.
they look, and you don't have a franchise quarterback. You have a nice, tough, good story. Like there's no difference between the Washington quarterback and Mike White, the Jets quarterback. No difference.
I don't know about that. Okay, listen, Heineke is not like you can't bank on Heineke as your guy moving forward, right? Like you said, he's a stopgap, right? But I mean, the guy plays his ass off, and he makes
No
some
doubt.
really good throws at times. He does make some mistakes. Um, Listen, I don't know. I like him. He plays with guts. He's won them some games this year with his guts. I'm not going to be down on the guy. I agree with you, though. He certainly is not the long-term solution there. I would
But
agree
Brad,
with you on
you
that.
said something a couple of weeks ago that I'm going to have to bring it back here, talking about
Sure.
Dan Campbell. You said, I don't care that my coach is tough. I want my coach to put me in a position where we can make plays. I don't care that the Washington quarterback is tough. Yes, he is. And it's a great story. He could play in the NFL for a decade as a backup. I want him on a 3rd and 8 when the blitz is coming to throw a dart like a Patrick Mahomes, like a Josh Allen. He's not that player. And it's not a knock on him. The guy was living on his sister's couch like Jeremy Lin was living on his brother's couch for the Knicks. He comes off the bench, he plays, he lights it up. He could start the rest of the year. But this is what you get when you don't have a franchise quarterback. More times
Li-
than not. In a big game, they can't win it.
Agreed. And this was, this was a big game, and they certainly had their chances. Listen, he wasn't terrible in this
No,
game,
no,
though. I
no, he's
mean,
not.
like he drove him down the field. He was 4 for 4 on a drive, took him right down the field in the second half. I don't think they necessarily. Yes, I agree with you, right? Like, yeah, it's not about him being tough either. I guess he's been good enough at times for them to win, right?
Yeah,
And
that's fair.
they
That is
certainly
fair.
have the weapons, but I like him for the gutsiness, right? Like it's hard
Right.
not to like the guy, and I agree with that. But like I agree, he's not the long term solution. They have to move forward in a way, and it's with a sense of urgency at getting somebody else in quarterback moving forward if they really want to be a true contender.
Right.
Because they have good weapons. You're right, and they have great players on defense. Like they have a lot of talent on that team. The Giants, this is the kind of game they win, right? They just this is how
Agree.
they're never going to dominate anybody,
Yeah.
but they'll win the game. This was a good game to watch. It was a lot of fun to watch. It felt like a playoff game, right? Great, the AFC or NFC East always has these great games, interdivisional games. So it was fun to watch in prime time. Listen, the end of the game. So I was like you. I very much felt that they got. First of all, the pass interference. It was pass interference. He was
100%.
clearly interfered with. If that play would have happened in the first quarter, there would have been 20 flags thrown on the play. It's absurd that it wasn't called there, and I don't know why they tell their refs to not make the same calls on the late in the game if they do tell them this that you wouldn't make earlier in the game. It's the same play. You call it there, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't know. Either way, because they still had to get a 2-point conversion, right? Like it's not the end of the game. Just call it for what it is. What happened with McLaurin? Listen, it's a little convoluted at this point. Like I agreed with you initially. It looked like you checked with him twice, and then the guy put his hand on the flag and threw it. Now, I listened to a podcast today with Chris Sims, and who they covered the game, right? And slowed down. It according to the people on that show, the official was telling him to move forward, and
And he did the one time. Yeah.
he did, but he moved like a half of an inch, Monty. He
Right.
moved his foot like barely at all, right? So they're saying that the second time he's asking if he's good, they're saying the official is literally pointing at the ground like you need to get to here. And
Right.
that's when he put his hand on the flag because he never moved forward again and then threw it. Listen, does him moving up to cover on the line of scrimmage have anything to do with that play? Should
No.
a flag be thrown there? No, I don't think it should be. But rules are rules, right? Like I get it. Like he was saying too, Sims was saying there's a dialogue between the receivers and those side judges throughout the entire game.
Always.
Watch for this. This guy's holding me. Watch for this PI. On this play, he's grabbing me, right? Like, okay, am I good here? Every play, right? Am I good? Am I offsides? Am I on the line? Every play, there's a dialogue between the two. And even sometimes you'll say, like, if a guy's not up on the line of scrimmage, like 2 plays in a row, he'll come to the player and be like, listen, if you don't get up on the line of scrimmage closer, because they gain an advantage when they get like a couple inches back, right? It's less easy to jam them off the line and things like that. If you're going to be the guy up on the line of scrimmage to cover that tight end up and make the formation legal. And so the official's going, he'll even give him a warning and say, get up there or else I'm going to flag you for it, right? So for that to happen late in the game is weird timing like that, right? But by the rule, he's not even close to being on the line of scrimmage. He's definitely further back, but it's a run play, so it doesn't really matter. So it's a very convoluted kind of situation, I think.
Yeah, and again, one of the things as a former referee I used to tell people all the time is just listen. It had no effect on the play. It's away from the ball. Stop bitching and complaining. Like that had no effect on the play. It shouldn't have been called. All right, talking with Brad Ward here. He's a contributor to the OBR, host, producer of All Eyes on Cleveland. Brad, I'm going to lose my mind, so I'll let you start. The Charger game, the Chargers won. I mean, Brad, I'll let you talk about this game. Chargers 8-6, beat a bad Tennessee Titans team by a field goal. The offense in this game looked like it was 1950s. Justin Herbert made enough plays. Go ahead, Brad, and then I'm going to go off on my rant.
Yeah, real quickly, Titans lose 4 in a row now after it looked like they kind of had things going there. I don't know. Tannehill played a gutsy game on a bad ankle. It was bad offense. Like, listen, all they have is Derrick Henry. Like you said, they should have never gotten rid of,
AJ Brown.
A.J. Brown, and they fired the guy that traded him because I guess, right? They fired that GM
Exactly.
because Vrabel apparently did not want that to happen. And then, so it was weird that it happened, 12 weeks into this regular season, though.
Yeah.
Herbert, couple interceptions in the first half hurt him. One was a ridiculous play in the end zone. The probably the best interception of the season that I've seen. The guy tips the ball back in bounds for the interception.
That was crazy.
That wild interception there. And then he throws a bad one, in the third quarter, right? I think he threw a bad one. But at the end of the game, listen, like watching him throw right now is ridiculous. He throws missiles, and like the play of the game down the sidelines to Mike Williams to set up the game-winning field goal was just stupid, ridiculous talent. I don't know if anybody else in the league can make that play. He's going to his right towards the sidelines and just throws it on a rope directly to him, 40 yards down the field, like on a rope.
Yep.
Just his talent is his arm talent is ridiculous. He's incredibly accurate. Keenan Allen looked like he was back in this one. I don't know how they didn't score more points. But yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that the Titans didn't go for 2 when they scored late in the game. That seemed like right up Vrabel's alley there, but he goes for the field goal or the extra point to tie the game, and then Herbert turns around and scorches him down the field. Now go on your rant.
Well, my whole thing is, okay, so 2 weeks ago, and listen, Jacksonville is a team on the rise. But 2 weeks ago, playing Jacksonville twice, the second time, Tennessee gives up 36 points to Jacksonville, a team they know, right? A team they know. So now you're playing a team that you normally don't face in the Chargers, and the Chargers can only muster 14 points. They couldn't do anything until the fourth quarter, and it's the same damn thing every week. Justin Herbert gets into a hole, and then in the fourth quarter, he's got to kind of make shift and do things because their play calling is so bad. And I don't want to harp on Brandon Staley. He's 8-6, which is hard to do in the NFL, especially in the AFC, which is, much better than the NFC right now. But this guy is doing a huge disservice to the talent of Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody would disagree with you at this point. I think it's pretty clear that they run a very, very vanilla, basic offense that does not give him an opportunity to be who he really can be in this league. And what was the deal with Eckler on the side? Was he hurt or what?
He got hurt, but he came back in. They brought him under the tent. I think he hurt his shoulder. I didn't see the actual injury, but then I watched it, and when he came out, he got hit, and I guess his shoulder was hurt, and they were checking for some sort of separation. But when Austin Eckler's healthy, people don't realize he's an ultimate dual threat running back. He really is talented.
He is incredible talent. And then they just have. They have the weapons to do it. They probably need another receiver at some point, right? I don't know how you feel about the receiving core.
I think Mike Williams is a legitimate number 2.
Yeah.
I think Mike Williams is good. Palmer's pretty good. I just think, again, if you get Sean McVay in there, Justin Herbert would throw for 4,500 yards, have 40 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions.
Agreed. I agree very much that the offense is holding him back big time. Yep.
Okay, let's move to the Saints here. The Saints win 21-18. I called this. Here's, and again, I'm not going to defend Marcus Mariota. He is not an everyday quarterback. He's a backup. But you have this is my problem with Arthur Smith. You have 2 weeks to prepare. He goes on some tangent that Mariota doesn't need surgery when he's getting surgery. So he picked on Mariota and saying that was part of the reason. First of all, if you look at Mariota's career, when he got benched in Tennessee, model citizen, players love him. Goes to the Raiders. Derek Carr said he became his best friend, his biggest supporter. So I don't think I think there was a disconnect between the coach and Mariota. I'm of the belief, and I'm not defending Mariota because I have his Oregon Duck highlight thing there. He's been a great teammate. He doesn't speak out when he's supposed to do. But if this was Marcus Mariota's fault, like all the Atlanta Falcons fans have said, this is what Desmond Ridder did yesterday. Now, you have 2 weeks to get this guy prepared. You have 2 weeks to prepare for the Saints, who are a decent team but not great. And this guy throws for 97 yards. This is the first time this guy's starting an NFL game. So the defense hasn't seen what he could do. And you throw for 97 yards because your game plan is not get our wide receivers and our skill. Your game plan is the same no matter who the quarterback is. In an NFL game, you're throwing for 97 yards coming off a bye. It's pathetic.
I guess, do you think Mariota would have done better?
My point is, it's the system. And I said this to all the fans. You could put anyone in there. They're not throwing the ball. This guy should be coaching Army because he wants to run the wishbone and run the ball 75 times a game.
Listen, I thought Arthur Smith did a good job with the Titans. I don't know, that's the kind of offense he wants to run, but he doesn't really have the weapons to do it right now, right? Like, I don't know. The whole Mariota thing, listen, I read multiple stories on it. I'm not going to get into the whole weeds of who did what. It just feels like Artie Smith is pissed because he left the team because he got benched. And I know that's not like what the story you believe or whatever, but I don't know. That's what sounds like what happened. I don't know. But the reason that he benched him, though, and his point, Artie Smith's point is, I benched him for performance reasons, right? And I agree with that call. At this point in the season, you need to go see what the youngster has, right? No?
100%.
Okay.
100. I agree with the benching, but what I'm saying, and I know it's his first game, But when you're a professional team and you have 2 weeks to prepare and you have a rookie who's never played before, let the kid sling it, throw it. You don't throw for 97 yards because
But
his game plan doesn't change based on who's quarterback.
yeah,
It's not putting your quarterback in the best position to win. When you run on first down, run on second down, you might as well have Rex Ryan coaching your team.
agreed. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I just think, that performance by Ritter, I don't think it's an indictment on him of any stretch. It's his first start in the NFL. I mean,
It's an
it
indictment
happens.
on the coach.
Guys
That's what I'm
have bad
saying.
starts, first ones. I agree. I understand what you're saying. I just think that Ritter first ever start in Mariota's performance this year hasn't given him a lot to work with.
Okay, fair point. All right, let's move on. The Eagles 13-1, a sluggish game. Jalen Hurts had 2 interceptions, 17 rushes, 61 yards. He had 3 rushing touchdowns. What really bothered me about this game is I started Jalen Hurts in my fantasy because I figured, and Brad, walk me through this. I need a little counseling here. I should be much better at DraftKings than I am, and here's why. Every week on the Full Monty Show, I break down the games for the fans. I do it in about 10 minutes. Who's going to win? I think I'm like 168 and 63. So I know all the stats. So the stats told me yesterday Eagles are going to be on the field all day making big plays, and they didn't through the air. But Jalen Hurts just find ways to win. And I said this on Sunday. Jalen Hurts is what you want Justin Fields to be, right? Next year. Get him some weapons, a running quarterback who can now make throws, just a sloppy game. But the Eagles are 13-1. I think if they win next week, they clinch it all, or they might have already clinched it all. So there's really nothing to play for if you're the Eagles because you're going to have home field throughout if you just win one more game, I think.
Yeah. As far as like DraftKings goes, like Hurts, I believe, was the most expensive quarterback this weekend, right?
I think Mahomes was higher than him.
Okay, well, he was up there. He was like 8,300 or something
Yeah.
like that, right? Like, and Mahomes was like 85 or something, maybe. It was right around there, but he was one of the two most expensive guys. It's not really for me, and I think people that do well, it's not. It's all cost related, right? Like, so,
Right.
like, I wouldn't have paid up for Hurts at 8,300 because he's just not. I mean, that's the kind of performance you need
Trevor
for
Lawrence.
that kind of
Trevor
dollar
Lawrence had a better day.
per
Yeah.
dollar per point. That's not going to pay you out well in the end, right? Like you find the best value play. Who can get you 25, 30, whatever at somebody that costs $6K, right? And I think that's the difference.
Like a Trevor
probably.
Lawrence, like Mike White a few weeks ago. Yeah, that's a great
Yeah.
point. All right, Brad. So the Steelers win over the Carolina Panthers. Trubinsky 17 for 22, 179 yards. Are the Steelers going to be 500 and have Mike Tomlin never have a losing season?
I don't know. Did you see the clip of him walking down the and the guy tried to talk to him and he's like, I'm fucking working or whatever he said to him. Yeah. What an asshole. Anyway.
When you lose, there's no more Mr. Nice Guy, right?
Yeah, right. Like, come on, man. Give it a rest. But either way, I mean, this I can't believe that the Panthers still have playoff hopes. That's ridiculous. And I can't believe that the Steelers are flirting with 500. It's hard for me to fathom. And both these teams have no business being even mentioned at this point of the year, but somehow they've both done that.
All right, Brad, who wins tonight? Monday Night Preview, the 4-9 Los Angeles Rams, the worst Super Bowl team since the 1999 Denver Broncos.
Baker Mayfield night.
Yeah, that's your boy.
No, not really, but yeah, he. How about the ridiculous comeback? I mean, that was remarkable, right? And yeah, so that'll be fun tonight. He is my last hope in. So, like, do you play best ball at all? Do you have best ball?
Yeah, I didn't do it this year, but I know what it is. Explain to people who haven't played it. I played it last year.
So, like, you draft 16 players before the season starts in a draft,
Yeah.
and then for the first 14 weeks, it registers like whoever has your best score registers as your quarterback, and then
Yep.
so on and so forth through the roster. Through 14 weeks, you have to finish first or second in your league, an underdog, to even get to the quarterfinal, which is week 15. So I did. I actually got to the quarterfinal in the best ball, and I am right there at, if only first place advances at this point, right? So I'm right there at second place by 3 points because I had KJ Osborne go off for me, right?
Awesome. Yeah.
And Kittle, I had Kittle, and I had some guys that had done nothing all year for me go off this weekend and get me. So I'm 3 points away. Burrow was my best quarterback. He gets me right there. But now the only way I can advance is if Mayfield has some massive night tonight and gets me 3 more points because he's the third quarterback I took in the draft. I had Burrow.
That's awesome.
Well,
I did that last year. And I made it to the first round of the playoffs because it's like a $3 million, and then I lost. But for those people who don't know, Brad, your truth is so raw. I like that. For those who don't know, what best ball is you draft a lineup, and for example, let's say you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Whoever does better that day, they take those points. So they take the points of the better wide receiver. So you could have 4 or 5 wide receivers on your roster, right? And they take the best player. So if you have 2 or 3 quarterbacks, if it's Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, they take the. So good luck to you. I'll root for Baker Mayfield to do well, but I think that the Packers and I think Aaron Jones has a monster game today, and I like the Packers winning 30-24.
Yeah, I like the Packers too. In this one, they're still alive.
They're
somehow,
still in
right?
it. They're still in it. Yep. And what about this, Brad? Thursday night matchup, Jags at the Jets. I'm assuming Mike White will be the starter.
Yeah, you hope he gets out of concussion protocol, right? It's such a weird, finicky thing. Like some guys take longer to get out of, and it's just weird. So, there's different phases of it. I don't know what phase he's in. Has he been on the field at all? Do you know?
He hasn't practiced yet, but I'm assuming he's going to practice tomorrow. It's just unfortunate because it is a short week, but it normally takes 10 days, so I'm expecting him to be cleared by tomorrow.
Yeah. I just know, like, some guys, because they have to clear you from the baseline first, and then they get you out on the field, and then they have to clear you to the next level. It's a whole process. They actually changed the process partway through this year because of Tua and everything.
Yeah.
So it's a little more convoluted now than it was earlier in the year. So hopefully he gets back because that'll be a good game if he plays.
Who do you like winning that game?
I will take Jacksonville.
Yeah, I'm taking. Me and you are agreeing on everything now. I'm taking Jacksonville as well. All right,
who's
Brad,
winning? Who's winning?
What's that? I like Jacksonville. Yeah, Jacksonville.
Who's winning between me and you?
Oh, we're tied up. We've been tied up for the last 2 weeks.
Oh, well,
so that's why I was
going to remain that way.
I was hoping you were going to take the Jets.
But give me the Jets. I want the Jets. Give me the Jets. I'll change it up and make it fun.
All right.
Give me the Jets.
All right, Brad, we are off next Wednesday. Monday, it's the day after Christmas. So Merry Christmas to you and your family. Any big plans for the holidays?
No, football. Christmas shopping is almost done. It's weird, your kid, when he's young, you get all, there's all these presents and, because the tree, it's huge. And now he's 17 years old. He wants like 5 things, but it's like, still the same price. Because, now
and it's not the same when you have young kids.
No,
I know my friend Andrea's going through that. She's like,
it's like 5
they don't even care about
expensive
Christmas.
things. He wants like a Gucci belt or something ridiculous like that. So,
isn't it amazing? When kids are young, they complain when they get clothes. Now all they do is want clothes. No, Amory's still in Minnesota. She went to the game. She was not able to get here on time, but she'll be here in 2 weeks. All right, Brad, enjoy the Cleveland Cavalier-Utah game.
Yeah, I will be good game tonight, and the interesting football game. I guess it's not much of a game, but it'll be interesting to watch. Mayfield versus Rodgers, and Green Bay has to win, so it's in Green Bay. the Cavs and Utah game will be fun for sure. So,
it should be. And you like
when
my
are we
snow
doing?
effects, right?
I do. The snow effects are fantastic. Let's keep those all through the holidays. I enjoy that very much. What are when are we doing our game?
I will let you know. You're talking about the Cavs announcing the Cavs game, right?
Yeah.
Yes, the one time we were going to do it, and then you were busy doing a college visit for your son.
Wait, that was the game we were supposed to do?
Yeah, we're going to do another one though. We'll do another one.
Oh, I thought that one you were asking me to do on the spot.
No,
I didn't know
what
that was
happens is,
the Hawks Cavs game we were like scheduling to do.
yeah, no, the next time the Cavs are on ESPN or TNT, we will do the game.
All right.
I will give
Deal.
you a couple, but yeah, we'll definitely do that.
All right.
Because I have the NBA League Pass, but it's got to be a nationally televised game. Because for those people who don't have the NBA League Pass, they got to be able to, watch it through the computer.
NBA League Pass is actually a pretty good deal.
It really is $100.
I think it is.
Can't beat it.
Yeah. Can't
All
beat
right,
it.
Brad.
So many games.
Really enjoyed the time tonight. Thank you for picking up the slack with Amarie. MIA, not really MIA. She listen. She must have.
Yeah.
Her husband is a Colts fan. That must have
Yeah.
been either the worst night of their lives or the best night of their lives.
Yeah, I don't even know how they could do that. Like each other's team's playing, one team comes back to win, and one's joyous and one's in misery. Like how do you handle that? I don't know. Either way, their seats looked fantastic, and she was missed again. So, but that's all right. And I will always never shy away from talking into the microphone more, Monty. You know that.
Always appreciate the time. And again, I'm sure we'll chat on social media, but have a safe and happy Merry Christmas to you.
You too, brother. And thanks to everybody in chat. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
All right. Great job by Brad Ward. I want to thank all of you. Again, we'll be on Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. No Sunday show. It is Christmas. By the way, the Christmas lineup, if you're going to stay in because it's cold and you want to just spend time with the family or you want to get away from your family, NBA all day, NFL all day. Going to be a great time. Thanks so much for joining us. In the immortal words of Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back.